Hey, I'm Bob at ILikeToMakeStuff. Today we're going to check out the Ultimaker 2. Alright, real quick, I need to say that Ultimaker is not sponsoring this video. They sent me the printer to test out, and I thought it would be interesting to show you how well it works. So let's take a look. The printer is extremely well packaged. I was really happy with that. It comes with a couple of sheets of information and a free spool of filament. There's a piece of glass that goes on the bed, and the machine lifts right out. There's no real assembly required. You just have to remove a little bit of packing material from underneath the bed, and then you have to remove a couple of zip ties that kind of hold things in place for shipping. There's a spool holder that snaps right into the back, and then you have to add the piece of glass to the heated bed. There's some retention clips on the back and on the front to hold it in place. When you turn it on, it has a really nice first time run menu that lets you walk through the setup, and the only things that you really have to set up are leveling the bed. There are some micro adjustment screws on each corner, and this really only took me about 5 minutes to do. Then you just feed the filament into the extruder and it pushes it all the way to the hot end. After that's ready, you go through the setup menu and tell it the type of material that you're going to use, and then insert the SD card that comes with it. This card has several models on it ready to print. I just picked the first one in the list and hit print, and this took about 2.5 hours to print. It's 6 pieces and they all fit together to make a cube. After all the pieces were complete, I snapped each piece off of the build platform. This was actually a little bit harder than I expected, but that's a good thing. That means that they were adhering to the build platform as they were being printed, which helps with print quality. So from that first print, these pieces to me are really impressive. They're very square, they're very flat. The fill on all the surfaces is really nice. The edges are really nice. It's a really good print, especially for it being the first one, straight off the bat. Now it might be easier for a Cartesian printer like this to print really geometric shapes. So I wanted to test something that was more organic and had some curve to it. So on Thingiverse, I grabbed one of the more popular models. It's an articulated octopus. It's got a bunch of different features to it that I think are good tests for print. So it's got a rounded head, which it did a really good job with. It's got these segments that you use for the legs. Each one has a socket and a ball on it, so you have an interior and an exterior curve that it has to do, and then you have these tips which kind of go to a point. And so it did a really good job of printing all these different pieces and making it so that they could snap together easily. And once they snap together, they move really freely. Another thing I wanted to do was compare the print quality of this machine to the print quality of the Form 1 Plus, which I recently did a video on. I'll have a link in the description, you can check that out. There are different technologies, they're used for different things, and so it's maybe not a fair comparison, but I was just curious. So in that video, I printed out an R2-D2 model, and you can see that in the video if you want to find out more details on it, but I also printed the same model on the Ultimaker 2, and you can tell that even though not all of the detail came through as well as it did on the resin print, it's actually surprising how much of it did come through. Now this is it straight off the printer with no finishing, no smoothing, no sanding, anything like that. And even though it's not as nice as the resin print, it's actually pretty nice, and it printed all this as one piece. The feet did come off, but I think maybe they were meant to based on the model, and they could be glued back on if you wanted to, but they did print connected to it. Okay, so that's enough about the prints. I think they're really nice. I was really impressed with the quality of the print. Let's talk about the machine. One of the things I like the most about this machine, and it's not exclusive to this machine, but the fact that you can just take it out of the box, do a couple of fine adjustments, and then you're ready to print. You don't have to assemble the machine. In my mind, this is a tool, and for me, I would rather have this work the way that the manufacturer intended it to work rather than like hoping that I got it right in assembly. That's just a personal preference of mine, no big deal, but I really did like the fact that it was just ready to go. It's really well put together, and the setup was really easy, and even simple stuff like having the light strips, the LED strips on the inside of this, just make the machine look nicer. I only really have 2 complaints about the machine so far. One is just really silly, but the on and off switch is really small, and it's on the back corner of the machine, and it feels like it should maybe be on the side or on the front where you could just flip the machine on and off really easily instead of having to reach around. That's pretty silly and insignificant, but it is just something I noted. The other thing is kind of a missed opportunity on their part, I think. The machine feels like it should be a dual extruder, but it's only one extruder. I know there's some third-party additions that people are working on to make it to where it can extrude 2 different types of filament within the same print, and it's actually got 2 spots where it looks like it could have 2 print heads, but that would be a cool addition to it, and I think maybe they should offer that as an upgrade, but they haven't yet. One other little thing, which is not really really a complaint, it's just an observation, is that my previous printer uses a 1.75 millimeter filament. This one used 2.85. So the stuff that I bought to use with my old printer, I can't use with this one. I have to buy new filament. So if you're thinking of upgrading or changing machines, just keep in mind that you're probably gonna have to buy a new filament if they're different size nozzles. So if you're looking for a printer, one of the things you have to first decide is whether you want to get a kit that you're going to make yourself or you want it pre-assembled. Then you have to look at cost versus print quality. And I think so far the ones that I've seen of the pre-built machines, this has the best ratio of cost to quality. That's just my opinion, but I've been really impressed with it so far, and I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a printer. I need to take a quick second to thank Casper for sponsoring this video. You've probably heard me talk about them before, and that's because they're awesome. I sleep on a Casper mattress every night and I love it. I've had it for quite a while now. If you're not familiar, Casper makes really awesome mattresses. They're a combination of memory and latex foam. They have just enough bounce, just enough squish to be really, really comfortable. So they take this awesome mattress, they take all the air out of it and squish it down into a bag and put it in a box. They ship that box to you, and then when you get it, you get to sleep on it for 100 nights. And if you don't like it for any reason, they'll come get it from you and give you your money back. Sleeping on it for 100 nights is way better than laying on a mattress for 5 seconds in a mattress store to see if you like it or not. It's a pretty sweet deal, so if you want to check them out, go to casper.com/make. Use the code MAKE and they'll give you $50 off your first purchase. Thanks to Casper, go check them out. Let's go back to the video. I hope this was at least a little bit helpful and maybe gave you some insight into a product that you didn't know about. If you have experience with this machine and you have some details that you want to share with other people, that would be awesome. Please do that in the comments below or at ILikeToMakeStuff.com. I've got a lot of other playlists of projects and CNC and 3D printing and all sorts of stuff for you to check out. And I'd love to see some stuff that you're working on. You can share that with me on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.